NFTs, meta, privacy, Patagonia, and much more. We're going to talk about all of this on the 23rd episode of the Not Your Market podcast. Stick around. Hey, welcome to the episode number 23 of the Not Your Market podcast. Long time no see, I know that, but I'm ready. I have enough time to shoot some episodes, so be prepared for a whole bunch of new stuff coming over. I have so many great stuff planned on for the podcast in the coming month and coming weeks, so expect to know a little bit more about that. So today we're going to be, as usual, talk about some of the latest news. I'm going to take you throughout some of the ones that I believe are the most important or relevant from the past couple of weeks. I'm also going to let you know my take on some of those. And I will also announce a new series of episodes that are going to be publishing, where I'm going to be publishing in the NYM network, if we may, that are going to help some people to understand some basic foundations of marketing and business. You will know if you're subscribed to this podcast as soon as they go online, they go public, because I'm going to use the same feed. Okay. But, well, without any further ado, I would like to thank you for joining me once again and let's jump into the first headline. So the first thing that I wanted to mention had to do with iOS privacy. And this was a news that I got from, I saw it on MorningBrew and the MorningBrew's newsletter. And it comes from a blog from an expert called Felix Cross, as you can see, that mentions that, and this is something that is not new, but nevertheless, it's always interesting to know it for a fact that there are so many things that we may suspect that happens and that goes on with our mobile devices that without having the proof, it's difficult to argue. However, this has to do with how companies like Meta and TikTok manage to override some of the iOS privacy features that allows the users to let them decide what kind of information these applications can gather from them straight from the mobile phone. If you remember a few episodes back, I talked about the IDFAs and what that meant for advertisers. And basically, what was the Apple approach on privacy, giving more power to the users and more power, not only more power in the sense of they are the one that are going to choose what they want to do, but also to be more informed about what kind of information companies and other apps are gathering from them. So this is something else. You know that many times, and this is something that they have been playing around, especially Instagram and TikTok. They have been playing around with this for quite a long time. If you click on any link, you will, it will open in an in-app browser. They're going to use the WebKit technology if you're using Apple devices. However, it's not it's not the same as you were opening Safari, as the browser independently. It's one of the things that it's mentioned in this blog post is that apparently there is a JavaScript that allows them to help gather more information about what every user is doing when browsing the internet through those in-app browser features, which is essentially one of the things that IDFAs try to forbid from companies. If you remember, IDFA, identification for advertisers, help companies to gather information from users when you move cross device, right? And it allows them to also understand what were you doing, not only when you were using the mobile app, but also when browsing the internet, so they can connect the information. And this has to do. This is a great deal for everybody that works with attribution modeling. As you know, this is one of the things that I have been researching for my PhD thesis, and essentially was one of the best features that we could have for not missing that last mile of interaction when people used several devices when through the online purchase decision process. So here's the thing. The idea was from Apple's point of view, is that, or was that, they would allow people to choose and decide what kind of information and to which apps they wanted to share it. So nowadays, this seems to be pretty straightforward because we are more or less aware of all this, how these work, and so forth. However, it was not always like that. And one of the things that hurt, one of the things that was hurt because of this decision from Apple was the prices and the cost for advertising through companies like, or platforms like Meta. Everything that had to do with Instagram ads, Facebook ads, and so forth. Also, TikTok was somewhat affected with that. Had to do with, if we cannot identify what kind of users we are trying to serve, the bare foundation of this online advertising platform, which is essentially offering a great segmentation tool to reach out to selected audiences, was not there. Okay, so this is something that was something that we saw almost immediately after this came into effect. But here's the thing: there are some other ways they are trying to keep tracking on that. So, with that being said, it's not like everything had to do with that JavaScript event. Okay, there are some other ways they can gather data. Okay, especially if you're using the in-app browser, because if you are connected through your mobile phone to your Facebook, or your Meta, your Instagram, or your TikTok's accounts, and then you stumble upon a website that uses a Facebook pixel or so forth, it is up to the settings that you have for that specific website on the in-app browser. Is not even what you have set up for the Safari, for the standalone browser. So this made things even more complicated for the user. Okay, and this is something that also makes people a little bit worry about. What are they trying to do with gathering this much data, especially when you already said that you don't want it, or that you don't want to share that with them. So just one thing to keep in mind. Okay, another thing, and another of the headlines that we were wanted to cover had to do with, let me just change this so you can see it. So had to do with AmericanEagle. Okay, AmericanEagle tapping on Roblox and Meta's Quest 2, the second iteration of Meta, just to create a new experience to gather or to get to Gen Z customers. So why? You may argue, why am I talking about this? However, this is an article from Digiday. For me, it was pretty interesting because we have two things that, if you think fast enough, it would not go hand in hand. We have a not so popular brand with Gen Z, AmericanEagle. AmericanEagle is, it's, I would say, more of a waning brand, not because of the product itself, but because of the hype that it has in the customer base. And you have this new set of tactics and strategies to get the attention to the very youngest and more connected segments of a new generation, right? One of the things that I keep asking many of my students, especially those who are on first year in college or so, is how many of them are in the metaverse, right? And every time I get even more surprised of how few of them are aware of the what the metaverse is, or I mean what means for them, and are even inside, or I mean have joined any metaverse experience whatsoever. um, and one of the things I always encourage them, and this is not because I have any stake in the company or anything, is to at least open an account on Roblox, right? Because it's like the for me, from my point of view, it's like the easiest way to understand what the metaverse mean and what the metaverse opportunities are in the future, in the face of the future. So we have here one company that tries to appeal to that very, very, very young segment of customers, and that also have been investing a lot in Instagram and TikTok so that they can ramp up the marketing strategy to get to them. One of the things that we have to also keep in mind, and this is something that in marketing consultant you get asked a lot, is okay, should we try something on the metaverse, should we be on TikTok, should we I don't know, start posting a lot of Instagram reels? And the answer is every time both yes and no. Okay, so it's always, it depends on the resources, it depends on the strategic objective that you have, but more than that, it has to do with your customer. And it's not only asking yourself if your customer is on TikTok, if your customer is using metaverse experiences, if your customer is on Instagram or whatever. The question that makes more sense to ask you before making a decision in that front would be, would my customer value my presence there? Would I add value to them by having a metaverse experience, by having, I don't know, by posting Instagram reels, by joining the latest trends and the latest, I don't know, challenges on TikTok? That is one of the things that we need to ask ourselves before even thinking if it makes sense for us to move and do anything that is so radically different from what we were doing in marketing 10 years ago or 15 years ago. If you think about how we managed to do social media advertising and social media marketing 10 years ago, it was radically different. And we already had Instagram, and we already had Twitter, and we already had Facebook, and we had so many other great platforms that still nowadays exist. But the way we were using them, the way the customer valued what they were offered in those platforms is has radically changed. And this is another thing that we have to also keep an eye on. So next headline had to do with Dubai, and how they are changing or preparing the stage for a revolution on cryptocurrencies. I don't know. I wouldn't say only cryptocurrencies. I would say blockchain as it is. So here's the thing. This is an article from Cryptodaily. Dubai had released last week a crypto marketing rules to protect investors. If you're aware of how most of crypto projects for investments work, one of the things, or one of the key activities that you had to do, is to raise a lot of awareness and interest from people that would be willing to invest in your project. Okay, this is something that is essentially especially for those who are that are based on technologies like Ethereum. Um, and here's the thing: in many cases, many of those projects has been deceiving for the investors, and a lot of people have lost money and so forth. You know that Dubai has a really, really forthcoming approach to blockchain, and they became the first among the first city state, if you may, in this case, an emirate, that used officially blockchain technology for everything that has to do with the public administration. One of the things that they were trying, I mean, and this is no surprise for anybody, one of the objectives that they're following is that they want to attract people, young people, old people, people with resources, any kind of people, so, to live in the city and to work in the city, right? So in order to do that, they are embracing not only the latest technology, but also they have been improving every procedure that has to do with the public administration so that people can come and can travel and can move to Dubai as easy as possible. So with that being said, being the public sector so embracing of blockchain, what makes sense is for them to have an even more structured environment for cryptocurrency or crypto projects, because it's not only about cryptocurrency. And this is why I'm keep mention that maybe this is just a sort of a framework for blockchain as a whole. So one of the things that we may be paying attention to is that they keep being one of the most advanced society. I wouldn't say only society, but the system in preparation for using blockchain and implemented blockchain in many stages of individuals and life. And if that still, is that still happening in the future, I would say that most certainly they're going to be the ones setting, or yeah, marking the path that everybody else is going to be following, because obviously the first one who enters into a new technological field is going to be testing so many things, and it's going to be learning from the experience that they are getting, and most certainly most of us are going to be following them. So it's always good to watch what it's been done in terms of blockchain there, just to have a little bit of understanding of, in terms of, especially in terms of laws and legislation, but not legislation, but legal framework, we are going to have probably in the near future. So there's, I would say that, I mean, this arguably could be one of the most anticipated things that in marketing or in the advertising, online advertising field, we have been expecting to have for quite a long time. And it has to do with an advertisement on Netflix. As you know, Netflix, I would say that, I mean, they have mentioned that intentionally a few years ago, that they plan to add an ad supported tier of subscription for the whole platform. And they have now, well, quite a long time now, they have already said publicly that they're working on that, and that this is something that is coming. And we are still gathering some information of how would that look like. I would say that probably the best clue or the best guess that we can have is looking at what the Hulu self-serve advertisement platform works like. I would say that probably we're going to have something very similar, but it's not clear enough because they have not given anything for anything away. So in this case, there's only so much thing that we know, and this is an article again from this is from MarketingBrew, from the newsletter from September the 2nd. And one of the things that they mention is that it is expected for to have a CPM of around 65 US dollars. So we're going to have around 65 cost dollars paid. I mean, a cost of 65 US dollars for reaching out 1,000 viewers, which is not necessarily bad. However, what would be for me really important is how will the segmentation criteria work like? Because one of the things that Netflix does really, really great is to have the algorithm classified us in different segments or different groups, right? Depending on what kind of things we see, what kind of things we like, and so forth. So what would be really interesting is how would they manage to gather or to get that information into nurture a more robust profile for each of the customer. They expect for the CPM to reach or to go up by a few dollars, up to 80 US dollars. However, is not so clear. But also this is something that many other platforms are going to are following. Disney Plus is also introducing an ad-supported tier. HBO Max is going to do the same. Peacock already does, and we know that Discovery Plus is also thinking of doing that. So we're just at the very, very verge of having what would be the most similar to what we had with cable television, but the only difference would be that you're going to have to pay for every channel individually. Okay, and this is something that probably, if you, I don't know, if you go and ask some people, there are some people that they don't really care about having some ads if that means that they're going to have to pay less for this, especially those who are still used to the regular TV format where you have a 25, 28 minute show and you have some commercials, interruptions. For them, it's going to be probably easier, and they're going to be probably the most, the ones that are going to first adopt this. However, the big question is: would this be a tactic that is going to bring more customers to those streaming platform, or is this something that is going to help them retain those who are just waiting for any minute to change or to give away or to cancel the subscription? This is something that we will have to wait and see. Me personally, I don't see myself downgrading my subscriptions, just because once you get used to not have those commercials, it may be very difficult for you, especially from the customer experience point of view. However, I mean, there are so many different cases that for sure we're going to start seeing a lot of data, which is going to be interesting. I'm going to come and revisit this topic once we have seen many of those already open, the ad supported tiers for those streaming platforms, and when they already have a few months on, so that we can check on the data that we have. So another thing, and this is because this episode is being recorded on September the 18th. Another thing that is being really newsworthy nowadays is had to do with the funeral service of Queen Elizabeth II. And there is, as usual, there is something for everybody. If you are about gossips, you have something about gossips with this topic. If you want something about business and so forth, politics and everything, right? But let's try to take a look at the impact that this is going to have on marketing. So this is an article from the Drum that explains how advertising is going to change or stop or being halted for during the Queen's funeral service on Monday, September 19th. So one of the things that is important is that television, most of the television platforms are public in the United Kingdom, has not been interrupted with commercials. You know that BBC and so forth, they don't have commercials. However, one of the things that or that are interesting is that during the funeral service, most of the private channels are going to also halt the commercial interruptions. Okay, which is interesting. I mean, interesting in the sense of they would have to reschedule some of the ads and spots that have already been purchased. But one of the things that amazed me a little bit, or the most about this news story, had to do with the out-of-home platforms, and that has to do with that every static, being non-digital advertisements are going to be are going to be taken down, especially those who are going to be in the route of the funeral service, which is for me clear. I would say it's amazing. It's just a reflection of how embedded the tradition of the monarchy is in the system in the United Kingdom. That doesn't have to do that doesn't have to be anything bad or good. It's just something that for me was interesting, just to have the whole logistics being planned for this. For the digital, out of home platforms. Most of them have been already giving away their spaces to either send messages celebrating the life of the queen, or just to have to be in total dark as a symbol of respect. With that, there's some other things. For 30 minutes, the skies of the United Kingdom are going to be silenced because all the flights are going to be canceled, either canceled or rescheduled. For the radio and cinema, also some of the things are going to be closed down during Monday. So it's going to be an interesting thing to witness for everybody that is not British, I would say, to see how the whole country come to a complete stop or halt, to celebrate something that of such great meaning for them, and how that could transpire into many different aspects in different areas of the society, not only economics, politics, marketing, and so forth, which is for me at least very, very interesting. So, last but not least, this was huge. This news had to do with Patagonia's founder, Yvon Chouinard. They're giving away the company. Well, it's not like giving away the company, but it is. It kind of is. The company for helping or for setting a trust fund for helping to fight climate change and, well, the environment. You know that Patagonia has already been very truthful to its values and for how much they care about the environment. So what they essentially did was that 100% of the stocks are going to be given away for for having all the money that is not being reinvested in the company, which would be the benefits for every stakeholder, to be invested in the fight against climate change, which was huge. I mean, this was by some people, it's around 3 billion US dollars. What we're talking about. This is an article from Marketing Week that explains a little bit of what they're planning to do. They are not going public as any large company would do. They would stay somewhat private just to help all those resources to be allocated to something that support the core values of the company, the core values of the brand, and to try to make a change, make an impact, even more than what they have been already doing by creating and manufacturing all these clothing in a sustainable and respectful way for the environment, which is, if you ask me, really interesting, and it's also quite unique. And this is why everybody was talking about this throughout the week. So I would have to say I will take my hat off for what this founder, this Yvon, has done with this company, because it's showing the true commitment that he has for the company. And this is only expected to have a huge impact, positive impact, in the brand perception and the brand equity. So this is something that for sure we're going to keep an eye on to later on see what the real impact was. So with that, we're going to be wrapping up the headlines. I would like to thank you again. I try to keep this episode short, as short as I could. So I will be launching this new series of episodes, which are going to be Marketing 101. Which are not going to be only about marketing. We're going to be talking about business as well. The first episode, we're going to be talking about the Boston Consulting Group Matrix and how that is a tool that we can use to understand the market, our product, and how we can leverage the opportunities out there for our company. As usual, if you enjoy the episode, please make sure that you're subscribed to, I don't know, any podcast subscribe service that you have. YouTube, any social media. You may follow me again also on LinkedIn, Instagram, or whatever. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Any comment will be greatly appreciated. And see you next time. Limpy out.